What's up, Taiwan? I'm Yvonne with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Taiwan's Stats Office has released the latest GDP numbers on Friday. 4.45% growth in 2025, a big step up from May's 3.10% outlook. AI demand is doing the heavy lifting, even as tariffs cloud the view. Chris Gorin reports.
Taiwan's economy is defying headwinds. Officials now predict nearly 4.5% GDP growth for 2025, thanks to surging demand for AI hardware. And that's despite a 20% U.S. tariff on most exports and an expected drop in global trade.
那整体而言，预测今年经济成长4.45%，比今年5月预测上修1.35个百分点。展望明年，虽然 IMF 预测全球贸易量成长会持续下降到1.9%，但 AI 需求强劲的长期态势并不会变动。
The government's first growth forecast for 2025 in February predicted 3.14%. Before being downgraded in May to 3.1% on tariff and trade concerns. Now it's raised to 4.45% on stronger than expected AI demand. However, they do view some of this as front-loaded demand, with growth next year expected to be lower at 2.81%. But the big unknown are the special semiconductor tariffs, often called Section 232, that depend on a U.S. Department of Commerce investigation that could land at any time. U.S. President Donald Trump has previously said it could be as early as this week. At the same time, Taiwan is still negotiating with the U.S. on a broad trade deal that could determine semiconductor tariffs, so things can still change. But for now, officials think whatever cold water tariffs might pour on the economy, they won't douse red-hot AI demand. Devin Tsai and Chris Gorin in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
The National Development Council is encouraging startups in Taiwan to build on the country's industrial strengths.
那这些台湾的新创会思考说，怎么样跟台湾目前的产业优势做结合，在这样的优势底下，继续去寻找更多未来更具有潜力的方向。
The council says Taiwan's startups raised nearly $3.5 billion last year. It's the latest in the development of the country's startup ecosystem. The council says it aims to boost theme-based investment while attracting both international and domestic collaboration. It's part of President Lai Ching-te's plan to support entrepreneurship in Taiwan. Taiwan's legislature has passed a law allocating up to $2 billion for relief and recovery in the country's storm-ravaged areas. The funds are to be used on infrastructure projects for roads, communications, energy, and water management systems. Households affected by significant flooding will receive between $600 and $1,000. In July, Typhoon Danas tore through areas of southern Taiwan, with torrential rainfall later in the month worsening the devastation. In just 1 week, voters will decide whether they support restarting the Ma'anshan nuclear power plant in southern Taiwan. Taiwan's opposition parties and environmental groups are rallying voters ahead of the day. Tiffany Wang reports.
Opposition Taiwan People's Party leader Huang Guochang rides down the streets of New Taipei City, hoping to rally voters in support of a referendum to restart the country's last decommissioned nuclear power plant. Campaigns are ramping up just a week before the country votes on whether it supports restarting the Ma'anshan power plant in Pingtung County. And those in support say it's a battle for the country's energy security.
请大家出来投票，参与 这一场台湾能源转型重要的战役，用全国人民的意志，清楚地告诉民进党政府，清楚地告诉赖清德总统，多数的民意是什么？让民进党学会对民意谦卑，让民进党知道人民才是这个国家的主人。
The opposition Kuomintang and TPP say they're concerned about Taiwan's power supply in case of a threat from China. Nearly 98% of its energy is imported. But the country shut down its last nuclear power plant in May this year, meeting the ruling Democratic Progressive Party's target to phase out nuclear power by 2025. The DPP criticized the TPP chair for changing his mind on nuclear energy, which he used to oppose. President Lai Ching-te previously said the nuclear issue is about science and safety, not politics.
823公投，我会去投票，我们一起投下不同意票。 面对核电议题，安全是社会最大的共识。我们都知道，安全是科学问题，不是公投能够解决的。
Some young anti-nuclear activists say that nuclear power must be phased out to make a safer future for Taiwan.
因此，我代表这些家庭跟年轻世代的朋友，想要请教黄国昌先生3个问题：核废料究竟要放在哪里？我们又要如何面对断层可能带来的地震风险？第3，我们又要如何面对核3可能带来的、可能造成的社会代价与世代正义的挑战？
Tensions between the parties and constituents may build up ahead of the referendum, which will be held alongside recall votes for 7 KMT lawmakers on August 23rd. But while the referendum result is not binding, it's a strong measure of public opinion and public confidence in each party, a decision that could impact Taiwan's divided government. Luffy Lee, Alex Chen, and Tiffany Wong for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan just unveiled the latest addition to its self-made weapon systems. This comes ahead of a formal special budget for weapons procurement. Alan Liu has more.
Higher mobility, stronger firepower. Taiwan has upgraded its domestically made tank in response to a growing need for self-defense capabilities. This wheel tank is armed with a 10.5-centimeter rifle gun with an effective range of over 2,000 meters, and it has the ability to penetrate 50 centimeters of armor. With an electric control system built into its turrets, the tank's accuracy has significantly improved.
我们需要的是机动部署，所以在轮型战车它是采用轮型载具。那在最高时速的部分，我们可以开到100公里。所以其实我们透过的公路网，我们可以很快的去增援到其他的地区。
In addition to the upgraded tank, Taiwan's Defense Ministry is also unveiling other homegrown weapons and equipment, including a new drone system, reconnaissance vehicles, vehicle-mounted missile systems, camouflage uniforms, and an automated gun barrel production line. Analysts say Taiwan is showing its commitment to producing weapons on its own.
事实上，依照瑞典的斯德哥尔摩和平研究所，它在前年公布了一个印太区域国家的武器的自主能力，台湾得分还挺高的，特别是飞弹系统，自制率在92%，那航空系统又60%，这种船舰系统又60%。
Taiwan's Defense Ministry on Friday reported several Chinese military aircraft and vessels operating near the country, serving as constant pressure from China. Analysts say Taiwan must win legislative majority support to speed up its indigenous weapons production, all in efforts to boost its self-defense capabilities.
希望可以有效的跟社会沟通、跟国会沟通，取得支持。那这样有稳定的政策，这些研发人员才有办法在一个稳定的平台上面去发展他们的技术，那让它变得更成熟。
Taiwan has rapidly expanded its weapons backlog in recent years. Besides domestically produced weapons, Taiwan reportedly aims to propose a special procurement budget of over $20 billion. These efforts are all aimed at better protecting the country, as President Lai Ching-te seeks to raise the defense budget to 3% of GDP next year. Ethan Chen and Ellen Liu for TaiwanPlus.
President Lai Ching-te is commemorating 80 years since the end of World War II by calling for unity in the face of aggression. In a Facebook post, Lai said the most valuable lesson of the war is that unity leads to victory and aggression to defeat. He wrote that no regime has the right to invade and deprive the people of another country of their freedom, and that countries that cherish freedom and peace must unite. August 15th marks the date Japan's wartime emperor made a radio broadcast announcing his nation's surrender to the Allied powers, ending years of catastrophic war. Taiwan was a Japanese colony at that time. "200,000 Taiwanese fought for Japan in World War II. When the empire surrendered, many found themselves under the rule of their former enemies. 80 years later, one Taiwanese veteran in Japan is working to make sure their stories are never forgotten. Bryn Thomas has more.
文書は東京都奥多摩の山の中にある日本人の建てた慰霊碑の文書と同じです。
Go Masao, born Uchengnan, was 17 years old when he joined the Imperial Japanese military. 80 years later, he's built a monument at a temple near his home in Yokohama, one of just a handful honoring Taiwanese who served Japan.
There are only a few facilities to honor the war dead. One deep in the mountains of Japan, one in Okinawa, and now this one in Yokohama. I want people to understand that 30,000 people lost their lives.
At the time, he was the only Taiwanese in his training unit and deployed to Korea in the closing months of the war, far from his birthplace in what's now Taiwan's rural Yunlin County, then under Japanese colonial rule.
Air raids would happen over Shinjuku, and we'd have to hide our planes and gliders in the woods. Even if we wanted to train, we couldn't. There were air raids on Tokyo until May. From the airfield, we could see fires burning nearby. But in the end, the bombs didn't hit us, so I didn't feel scared at all.
While Go's memories of the war remain vivid 80 years later, the stories of the 200,000 Taiwanese he served alongside have largely been ignored by the Republic of China, the official name of Taiwan.
When the ROC government took over Taiwan in 1945, they were dealing with former enemy subjects. Taiwanese were Japanese colonial subject up to the end of the war.
An estimated 30,000 Taiwanese soldiers died serving Japan during the war. Today, while ROC soldiers are honored at Taipei's National Revolutionary Martyrs Shrine, there is no official memorial for those who fought for Japan, meaning many families are left honoring their ancestors abroad. I'm standing on the approach to one of Japan's most important religious sites. Yasukuni Shrine honors those who died serving Japan from the late Edo period until the end of World War II. Established in 1869, it enshrines the spirits of about 2.5 million people, including Taiwanese people who served under Japanese rule during that period. Some 27,000 Taiwanese are memorialized at Yasukuni as kami or Shinto deities. While some Taiwanese families are willing to travel to the shrine to honor their ancestors, Go Masao wants something closer to home.
It would be good if we had shrines nearer to us. Yasukuni is, of course, fine. And Japanese people might ask, what about Yasukuni Shrine? Isn't that enough? But shouldn't every prefecture have its own shrine? Even if Yasukuni serves as the main shrine or honden, local branches are still necessary. Taiwanese service people should not only be memorialized at Yasukuni Shrine. My view is that there should be memorials all over Japan, wherever you go.
Some Taiwanese do not visit Yasukuni. Some, particularly indigenous Taiwanese, were conscripted into Japan's military unwillingly, and the shrine's traditions do not reflect their beliefs. Others criticize it for failing to acknowledge Japan's wartime crimes and for enshrining convicted war criminals. Yasukuni says it seeks to honor all those who served equally under Japan's flag. But for Go, it's all about commemoration. He says Taiwanese soldiers like himself have been overlooked in the war, and all those who served and sacrificed deserved to be recognized and remembered.
If I were to die now, no one here would pray for me. If I were to die now, I wouldn't be remembered by people in Japan because I would be gone. Even though I've lived life in Japan, if I were to die, no one here would pray for me.
But in the end, he's on a personal mission to honor his comrades who served and sacrificed in the largest war in human history 80 years ago. Ryan Wu, Jeffrey Chen, and Bryn Thomas for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. Finally, take a look at Mount Etna in Sicily, where a new eruptor has set off a spectacular lava show. I'm Yvonne Yang. Take care, and I'll see you next time.